A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Liolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things Caf Confederations Cup final as Orlando Pirates take on Berkane. So when you do have a look at the two teams then, with Orlando Pirates, they were able to overcome Al-Ahli Tripoli in the semi-final. And then with Berkane, they were able then to overcome TP Mazembe in the Caf Confederations Cup semi-final. So when you do have a look at it then, Rsb Berkane is a team from Morocco. With Orlando Pirates, they are from South Africa. The final will be played in Nigeria. So when having a look at things then, this is then a tactical pre-match analysis of the Caf Confederations Cup final. So the blue team will represent Orlando Pirates and then the red team will represent Berkane. So when you have a look at Orlando Pirates then, the last time out, they did start with a 4-2-3-1. So what we do know about Orlando Pirates is that underneath the tutelage of coach Mandla Ncigazi and Fadlu Davids, they have been lining up in a hybrid system, which in possession, it would be a 3-4-2-1. Out of possession, it would go to a 4-4-2. But the last time out then, in the semi-final second leg at home, they did switch to a 4-2-3-1. So we're going to have a look at it then from a 4-2-3-1 perspective and then from a 3-4-2-1 perspective as well. So when you do have a look at it then from this perspective. So the last time out then at left back, they did start with Innocent Mayela. So when you have a look then at Mayela, this is a player then for large parts of the season couldn't really get into the side because Basagamako was doing very well. Mago got injured and then Mayela has come in. And I would say that in this left back position, Mayela has had a couple of good performances. He's been very solid and which has seen him then maintain his position within this Orlando Pirates side. When you do have a look at Mayela then, this is a player then who does look to offer you the width within vertical zone 1, within the left wide channel, and a player then who's got very, very good technique. So this is a player then who can deliver those balls, who can deliver those crosses. But because it is a final and you look at Berkane and how they play, I would think that Mayela won't be looking to play on the front foot with regards to overlapping and looking to get forward too many times. I think at times when the situation does allow for him and the game opens up like that, he will. But I think he will be quite conservative, you know, and looking then to ensure that he's able to keep the shape, the defensive shape, and ensure then that he is solid for this Orlando Pirates side within the left back position. And then when you have a look at the two centre backs, did start with Happy Jele and they started with Olisanda. So when you have a look at these two centre backs with Jele and Olisanda, I do think that they are Orlando Pirates' strongest centre back pairing by virtue of the fact that when they have played together, they have been able to dish out very, very solid defensive displays and they've kept clean sheets as well. They also have a very good understanding and with both of them, then they are very comfortable on the ball. So when Orlando Pirates do look to play out from the back, you've got two centre backs who are very comfortable on the ball, especially then when you look at Olisanda. This is a player who's been doing very well for this Orlando Pirates side, a player then who's well adept at starting play from the deep pockets of space within the right-hand side. So whether it is the right side at half space or when he does find himself in a bit of a wider, deeper position, this is a player then who's very comfortable on the ball. His decision making and game intelligence is very, very good. And when you consider then his ball distribution, this is a player with a very good technical skill set and technical ability. So he is well enabled then to play then those long passes where he is looking then for his frontline players, very well adept at playing then those line breaking passes, and he is also then press resistant as well, which then bodes very well for this Orlando Pirates side when they look to start play from the back. And then when you have a look at it then, the last time out at right back, they did start with Abel Mawaso, but he did go off, so they brought Undlovu on. So if then Mavas was not fit and they do go with the 4-2-3-1, I do see them starting with Undlovu at right back. It's a player then with lots and lots of energy. And then in goals, they do have Richard Ofori. So that is their back four then with regards to how they may look to go about things going into this final. So then you do have Mayela there, and you would have Undlovu there as well. Moving on then, right along within the heart of midfield, they did start with Mutwari and then they started with Musele. So when you have a look then at these two within the heart of midfield, with Mutwari, he is the one then who does sit deep in front of the back four. He does look to stabilize and he does look then to ensure to win that ball for Orlando Pirates within the heart of midfield. And he is more than the destroyer with regards to breaking down opposition attacks. With Musele, this is a player then who is growing in leaps and bounds with regards to his position at Orlando Pirates, and this is a player then who does advance a lot more from the heart of midfield. He has also scored a couple of goals this season for this Orlando Pirates side, be it from set pieces or be it from late runs that he does make into the box. So that is Orlando Pirates then within the heart of midfield with regards to how they're going to go about things. And then when you do have a look at their third midfielder, who does then play as a 10 at times, second striker, you do have Thembinkosi Lorch. So when you do have a look at Thembinkosi Lorch, this is their playmaker. This is a key player for this Orlando Pirates side. So he does offer them positional and qualitative superiority. So with positional superiority, with regards to how then he looks to position himself laterally in between the lines to receive, and how then he looks to occupy either half space, and also then when he does come central within vertical zone 3. So this is a player then who's got so much creativity and so much influence for this Orlando Pirates side. He does get them to play, and a player then who in this season he has struggled with regards to scoring those goals. So this is a player then who should be looking to penetrate into the box a lot more, penetrate into the final third a lot more, because at times he does tend to drop a bit too deep and he does tend to drift a bit too wide. So when Thembinkosi Lorch does drift a bit too wide and a bit too deep, then it does then become counterproductive with regards to how Orlando Pirates then are trying to impose themselves from a creative perspective, and having him then being the one looking to break into the final third. So with Thembinkosi Lorch, you want him then within zone 14 and you want him then in the box. You want him as close as possible to the box because he can score goals and he can give you those assists as well. So that is Thembinkosi Lorch. And then off the left-hand side, they did start with Dion Hotto. So when you have a look at Hotto then, this is a player then who is very quick, and a player then who's been key for Orlando Pirates with regards to assists and goals as well. And he does tend to drift inwards at times, so he can occupy the half space where then he is looking to drift into the box and looking then to get a goal for this Orlando Pirates side. Very good technical ability then from open play and from set pieces as well. And then on the right hand side, they did then start with Ubandile Shandu. So with Ubandile Shandu, he has enjoyed quite a very good season for this Orlando Pirates side. He has contributed with goals and he's contributed with assists as well. When you do have a look at Bandile Shandu, because then when they do play 3-4-2-1, in possession, he does then become a right winger. Out of possession, he has to tuck in and then make it a back four, and then he does become a right back. So that is then Bandile Shandu from the right hand side, who offers you very similar to Hotto with regards to penetration within the final third, goals and assists as well. At times, they do look to swap, where then they would become a lot more inverted. And then up front, you do then have Pepra. So when you do have a look at Pepra, this is a very hard-working striker who's very strong, and a player then who offers a lot of energy up front for this Orlando Pirates side. However, with Pepra, from time to time, he does tend to struggle with his first touch and with his finishing as well. So he's not the most clinical striker, but he is a striker then who's going to work very, very hard. So that is Orlando Pirates then from a 4-2-3-1 perspective with regards to how they may look to go about things. If they were then to go about it then from a 3-4-2-1 perspective, then it is them then looking then to possibly drop Undlovu, for example. Mayela would go there. you'd have Hoto offering the width on the left-hand side. You'd have Shandu offering the width on the right-hand side. Then they would be looking to play another number 10. So that could be in the mold of Kabelo Dlamini. For example, it can be Never Die, Makubela, you know, and we do know that there is Makaringe as well. There is another very, very special player who goes by the name of Pule, who has returned as well. But I don't think he's fully fit to start the game, but can always come off the bench and impact the game for this Orlando Pirates side. So that is Orlando Pirates then with regards to how they look to go about things. We did have a look at it then from a 4-2-3-1 perspective, from a 3-4-2-1 perspective as well, where then they could look to play with 2 number 10s. Key players then that can come off the bench and make an impact. You do have Zakele Lipasa who can come up front. You do have Makaringe who can come into midfield, either deep into midfield or in those more advanced pockets of space within midfield. You do have Ntsako, Never Die, Makubela. You've got Kabelo Dlamini. You've got Pule as well, who has come back, and a player then who can offer so much quality coming off the bench, looking to change the game for this Orlando Pirates side. So that is Orlando Pirates then with regards to how they look to go about things when they're looking to attack in possession and when they do find themselves in opposition half. If it is then a 4-4-2, and what you could see then when they do at times they look to sit very compact in a 4-4-2, sometimes 4-5-1, low to mid block whenever opposition have the ball. So it does become somewhat of that shape. Sometimes you will have Lorch sort of dropping in there. At times, they can look to sort of go with the front 2. So out of possession, this is what you're going to see from this Orlando Pirates side. 2 banks of 4, and then you've got Pepra, and then you've got Lorch, who at times will look to make it a front 2. At times, he does tend to drop off just a bit and make it then somewhat of a 4-5-1 shape. So that is Orlando Pirates then with regards to how they're going to go about things coming up into this final. And then when you do have a look at Berkane, so Berkane then under the tutelage then of Florent Ibenge, the Congolese coach, very, very experienced when it then comes to African football. So when you have a look at Ibenge's side then, they do tend to line up in a 4-3-3. However, they can also line up in a 4-2-3-1. However, the last time out, they lined up in a 4-3-3. So this is a team then which is very dynamic, very fluid in possession, and very, very penetrative and direct when it comes to the final third, especially then from the wide areas, being vertical zone 1 on the left-hand side and then vertical zone 5 on the right-hand side. So when you do have a look at them then, in goals then, they do start with Agbi. At right back, they do start with Buddy. So when you do have a look at their right back, Buddy, this is a player then who has lots of energy and a player then who's also very good on the ball. So with Buddy then, he does look to offer that width. So when you do have a look at Ibenge's side with regards to the dynamic relationship that is enjoyed between a winger and a fullback on both sides, is that whenever the winger does look to occupy the half space, which they do quite a lot, then you'd have the fullback going. But if the winger then is wide occupying the wide channel, then the fullback would hold a deeper position on their side. So you do have Buddy who looks to offer the width then on the right-hand side for Berkane. And then as the right-sided centre-back, you do have Dio. So when you have a look at Dio, this is a very, very physical centre-half, very strong in the air. But he is then one of the weak points when you look at this Berkane side, because then he's not so comfortable on the ball and he's not as technically gifted with regards to progressing the ball from those deep pockets of space. So if you do press him, you can win the ball off him. And I would say that Berkane, from a defensive perspective, they're a lot weaker on the right-hand side. So that is with Buddy, and then that is with Dio as well. So this is a side that Orlando Pirates could look to exploit when you have Hoto and then you have Lorch drifting to that side. And when you you also consider the fact that Dio isn't then a centre-back who's press resistant, this is a centre-back then you can look to press. So that is a key component then of how Orlando Pirates could look to press whenever then Berkane do look to play out from the back. And he is then a player then who, if he doesn't find a short option, he's quickly going to go long. So he's not comfortable on the ball to the point where then he is actually able to hold on to the ball, push it into space, maybe progress with it into midfield, where then he's looking for a pass. And if he doesn't find a pass, then he goes back. That's what a lot of press-resistant and very comfortable centre-backs do. But with him, whenever he does get into that pocket of space and he doesn't find a pass on, he's looking to go long. And he did make a mistake then the last time out against TP Mazembe. So this is a player that Orlando Pirates could look to target. And then when you move on right along and have a look then at his centre-back partner, you got Mokadem, who plays as a left-sided centre-back. With Mokadem, then he is very, very comfortable on the ball. He is the centre-back then who is very good at progressing the ball. He is press-resistant, and he is also very, very strong. When you do have a look at the left-back, you do have Musaini. So when you have a look at Musaini, very similar to Buddy then with regards to if the winger is tucked into the half space there, then he would occupy that role. If the winger does keep a wider position on their side, then he does look to keep a deeper pocket of space. So that is Musini, who does come off the left-hand side. And I must say that with him, then he's a very, very good crosser of the ball and offers a lot of energy as well. And then when you have a look then at their midfield, within the heart of midfield, as their defensive midfielder, you do have their captain, Naji. This is a player then who did score the last time out. So he is a threat then from set pieces and very, very strong in the air. When you have a look at Naji then, what makes him a very good player then, firstly, he's very, very comfortable on the ball. So he does then facilitate build-ups for this Berkane side. What he would do a lot of the times is that he would drop in between the two centre-backs and Berkane would look to build up with the back three at times. And he'd be key to that because of how comfortable he is on the ball. And then when it comes then to combating within the heart of midfield, he's very strong. He does get stuck in as well. He is their leader. And then the two number 8s then, they did start with. The last time they started with Helali, and then off the left-hand side, they did start with Ragagu. So when you do have a look at these two, especially Helali then, this is a player who is very strong and a player then who can score goals from the midfield and can then look to assist with regards to the final third. But overall then, when you have a look at this midfield three, they're a very hard-working midfield three. They do look to combat, and with the two number 8s then, they do go box to box, and they are a very, very hard-working midfield three. And then when you move on then right along and have a look at their key players. So this is where I think then Berkane are very, very dangerous, and these are their key players. So off the right-hand side then, you've got Fahil. So with Fahil then, the last time out against TP Mazembe, he did score 2 goals where he scored a penalty and then he also scored a tap in. So when you have a look at Fahil then, this is a player then who is very, very quick and is very, very skillful as well. His game intelligence is very phenomenal, especially considering then how he looks to position himself. So as a winger, he does offer that positional and qualitative superiority. In 1v1 situations, he is then very, very dominant. This is where he is superior, and this is where then Mayela could have his hands full. And then he does also occupy the half space a lot of the time. So you do find him then looking to drift in, and with him then he is an ambipedal player, so he can also bring it onto his left foot and look to have shots at goal. He can, when he does take you one-on-one, he can go on the outside, and he can also look to drift in with regards to his positioning and how then he looks to become an influence for this Berkane side. He is a goal scorer, he is very creative, he's very quick as well. So this is their key player, and a player then who's going to trouble this Orlando Pirates side. When you do have a look at the other winger then, you do have Lukombe. So when you have a Lukombe then, very, very similar then to Fahil. With Lukombe then, he's very, very quick, and he does then play as an inverted winger because then he is right-footed. So a lot of the times he does look to drift in. That's when you have Musaini looking then to offer the width on the left-hand side. With Lukombe then, very, very quick, 1v1 situation. He is very dominant and very superior. So when you have a look at it then from a qualitative superiority perspective, in the wide areas, that is where Berkane are very strong, and that is where then Orlando Pirates could have their hands full, you know, especially considering how quick and skillful these two are, and they've got an eye for goal as well. And then you do have Barawi up front, who is their striker then. And then when you do have a look at it then, because they are quite fluid, at times they do look to interchange. So sometimes you could have Lukombe on the right-hand side, you could have Fahil drifting to this side, and with but how then he isn't then a static striker, so he does offer that movement in behind. So when you do have a look at this Berkane front three, they are a side then that are going to look to trouble this Orlando Pirates back four. So it's going to be very interesting with regards to seeing how then Orlando Pirates look to set up, and with Berkane as well, how they also look to set up coming into this one. With Berkane then, they're also a side that look to press right high up. They play at a very high intensity, and they look to make things very uncomfortable for the opposition. So they don't allow you time on the ball. So it's going to be very interesting to see how do Orlando Pirates look to facilitate their build-ups. Will they be able then to beat the first line of press? And when they do, how do they look to progress into the final third? With Orlando Pirates, I would say that they've struggled dearly with regards to the build-up phase, and also then when you also have a look at the final third. So what I mean by that then, with regards then to the build-up phase, this is from a defensive perspective. Orlando Pirates have been conceding goals as of late, and up front they've struggled to convert goals. You know, so it's going to be a very difficult encounter for them. You know, and especially considering then that this is a very dangerous front three, and within the heart of midfield, how Berkane set up. They are able then to protect their back four a lot of the times. And this Berkane side also don't allow you too many opportunities. So it's going to be a very difficult encounter for this Orlando Pirates side. And how I see the game playing out is that I do foresee Berkane playing at a very high intensity, looking to press Orlando Pirates. And I also do foresee them then having the lion's share of possession, as I do think that from a qualitative perspective, they're a lot better with regards to keeping the ball and how they'll look to progress the ball, but they can also be very, very penetrative. You know, at times they will concede possession, looking then to hit this Orlando Pirates side on the counter attack and looking to use offensive transitions with the speed that they have. With the Orlando Pirates, then it's going to be very important that they are very disciplined and that they can manage their game. And when they do look to break forward and penetrate into the final third, that they are very, very clinical. If not, it's going to be a very long night for this Orlando Pirates side. At the back, they should look to be very compact and very solid. When you do have a look at this Orlando Pirates side, the key player is Tim Lorch. When you do have a look at Berkane, then the key player is Fahil. So, ladies and gentlemen, how I see this one playing out then in the Caf Confederations Cup final, I do foresee Berkane winning this encounter 1-0. However, do let me know at home, what do you make of the Caf Confederations Cup final? Do you think that Orlando Pirates can win the Caf Confederations Cup final, or do you think that Berkane will win the Caf Confederations Cup final? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you really enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, comment, and give me a super thanks as well. Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. It is then Orlando Pirates versus Berkane in the Caf Confederations Cup final. It is Mandla Ngigazi and Fadlu Davids versus Florent Ibenge. Signing out.